We're going. We're live. This is it. Hello.
Hi, I'm Betsy Weber. I'm the Chief Evangelist at TechSmith, and I have no idea what video we're on at this point, but thanks to Paul for coming in at 11:30 at night here.
Hi.
So Paul, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do here at TechSmith?
Certainly. I'm Paul Middlin. I'm a software architect at TechSmith, so I work with most of our desktop products, and I work across the products. So a software architect means that instead of working on just one product, I'm trying to help keep a lot of our products in sync, making sure that we're working efficiently with our code, sharing stuff. And as such, I've actually worked on quite a few of our products. I started out on Snagit for Windows. I worked on the Mac version of Snagit. I worked on the Mac version of Camtasia. A long time ago, I worked on, for just a little bit of the Windows version of Camtasia and on Moray, so I've seen a lot of our stuff. And I also worked on Ask3, which is a mobile product that we did in the education space, so I've seen a lot of our stuff, and I've been here for 11 years, 11 and a half.
Long time.
And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, too, is a lot of the evolution of the stuff that I've seen in the last 11 years.
Great. All right. So what are you working on now?
Well, like I said, so instead of working on just one thing, I'm working on multiple products. So I'm working most closely with Snagit and Camtasia on both of the platforms, both the Windows and the Mac platform.
Very cool. All right.
Busy.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. So what did you want to talk about today?
All right. So I want to show you guys my screen, and I want to show you the first product that I ever saw when I got here. I started at the same time as a couple of the other people who have been here a long time, Michael Malinak, Tony Lambert, and we all started working on Snagit at the same time in version 6.3. So this was at the end of 2002. And can you guys see my screen? Is this up on the thing? Here. This is the mouse man that you see on the left, and this is our installer. And the only reason I'm even showing the installer is because the mouse man is in it, and that was sort of the mascot.
He's wireless. I mean, before this, he had a tail. He was corded. So.
Yeah. And so that represents well, I think, the state of the art at the time. And so after that, this is what the capture, like the main window. I'm sorry, almost all of Snagit looked like. Is this. And
for a long time.
I remember starting out like I'm a computer programmer. I'm into I know all about computers, right? And they present me with this, and I'm like, I have no clue what you're supposed to do. There's all these boxes. They're labeled input, output, file bump, and I got nothing. Web capture was a thing then, which I think was only used for pornography. I did. I didn't know what to do with it. It went to websites, and we would scrape down all the images off of them and stuff them all in a folder.
So you don't have to do it individually.
Yeah, it's not a useful thing anymore for anything. So you'd have to set everything all up, get all your ducks in a row, and then say, go. And so try to figure that all in the menus. And God help anyone that actually managed to figure that out. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of people that were using this, but it wasn't exactly something you could walk up to and figure out. You had to want it.
Right. We wanted your commitment.
So one of the first things we did is we said, hey guys, we should do something, anything, to try to make this so that you could come to this product cold and have a guess at what you'd be able to do with it. And so we worked with a woman named Magdalene Boland, who is our European evangelist in Germany. Anton's mother actually helped us do some user testing and try this out on people to change it in version 7. But before we get to that, I also want to show what happens if you'd capture. You'd also get to this preview screen. And the only thing you can do is look at it and go, yep, that's it, all right.
Yep.
And you'd hit the finish button. Now, there was this studio thing there you see in the corner. You could hit the studio button, and we had this annotation editor thing that had these very dated things you could just sort of plop on there, and you could sort of freehand scroll out stuff. You look at them, I mean, put a book. Book was on there. Like, of course. What more would you need on a screen capture than...
For sure.
Oh, God.
Maybe a pencil.
Those were the days. It seems like 1996, but it was 2002.
It wasn't that long ago.
So version 7 came along, and so this was our re-envisioning. We were like, okay, what if we brought sort of these hidden things called profiles? Like at the time, that was like a advanced secret little feature. We brought those up front and center, redesigned everything, made it look all fancy-ish looking. We had people that we'd hired, designers, never before seen in the industry, designers, people with artistic skills who could make icons for us.
Right.
I did not make any of these. My fellow programmer friends did not, but they knew how to draw. They put some. This was our first attempt, a first of something that we did a lot over the ensuing years, which was try again and redesign, try things out on people, and this was our first attempt. Like, what of this?
Right.
A big button that says capture on it, so that you'd have any idea that that's what you're supposed to do. You'd select one of these profiles that actually were descriptive. We just had a lot more stuff on the screen so that you could take a guess what you should do. And the other thing that we added in this first release is these little balloon pop-up things here, so that we could walk people through, you know. So after you selected one of those profiles, we're like, okay, next step over here. So we just walk people through, like, after you captured, you'd get into this preview, and we're like, okay, next step, you need to hit this finish button. So in here is where we started adding in these big task panes on the sides. It was an idea we borrowed from other places. We're like, okay, this is where you can add edge effects. And there's a lot of cool things we added throughout these versions, and as we did, that's when we added in more features, like the task panes and the stuff around there. These painting tools we put right into the preview, because before you saw it was like, okay, you got to go off into the studio, awful thing. We put those right in here, like, yeah, while you're at it, Kate, you got your capture, draw on it, send it off. That big finish button in the upper left there was a hallmark for a long time of Snagit. Like, you had to do it and then finish the job, send it on to where it's going.
Save it.
Yeah, because again, remember, the workflow was you had to decide in advance what you were doing with it.
Right.
It was going to the printer after this. That was popular. So you had to do all your edits and then finish it off to the printer. That's not what it's like today, so that's kind of why I'm pointing that out. So okay, I'm going to move on. Then we also had in this whole organizing idea. So we had this thing called the catalog browser, whole separate app again.
I forgot about that.
I had forgotten about it too. But I spent all of today going through and installing version 6, version 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I could see all of these things. So it was a whole separate thing. You want to organize your captures. Okay, open up the catalog browser. So Studio, catalog, the preview, all these things were separate. Yeah. All right, so now I'm moving you on to version 8. This is version 8. In version 8, we thought, okay, can we make this friendlier? Because people don't necessarily know what it means to capture window, full screen, scrolling window, region. Those were all different choices you had to make up front. So what if we pretty that up a little bit, make them into these icons so that they're more descriptive. We made these pictures, and that way we could really help people understand what that choice meant to them. Still kept the balloon tips to help people walk along.
Helpful.
Since you had to make that choice up front, what you were going to do, we still kept the balloon tips, but at least we tried to make them descriptive with all these pictures on there. So these aren't the only features that were going into each of these releases. Like, I'm glossing over a massive amount of changes. Like, there were many dot releases in there. We tend to pack full our minor releases with features. But just trying to look at the main decisions that we were making that were really driving forward the state of screen capture. I mean, I'm making it sound really epic for screen capture, but they were big decisions for us that were trying to take something that you'd think would be easy, but it really isn't, you know, because we're trying to make screen capture really efficient for people.
Right.
And you could just grab the whole screen and sit there grabbing and pulling it down, but that's a pain in the butt. That's why you get Snagit.
Right.
You know? When you find out that you can take a scrolling window and get it all pieced together for you, that saves you a lot of time. You realize you can just drag out a little region, or you can just click on one window without having to even drag out a region. That's brilliant.
Right. And there's so many features in Snagit that people don't even know about. It's how do you expose them to all those features? It's packed full.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do with each of these big major decisions here, and expose that stuff exactly. So we did that here. Snagit 8 also, we do this a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to show this. So what I did here, I'm going to go back one, is we had this little icon on the top where we were like, well, what if, we have a lot of this fear, and this is something we need to get over.
Well,
we were like, what if people were really used to version 7 and they liked the list view?
Right.
We introduce these big icons and you just can't get as many in the window. So we'll have this other little view that looks like the version 7 view. So
the classic view, if you will. But we've always been concerned about initial user experiences, and we train people to use it this way in this version, and you know, we want to make people happy.
We do. So we tend to have some way to get back the old way, the old look to bring you along. Now that's something that I don't know if we should be so worried about as we always have been. Because it makes a lot more work for us, which means we spend less time making new stuff for people.
True.
Because we're trying to create and test make sure you keep the old look stuff around.
Right.
But we do that a lot, and that's why I'm pointing this out, is that we have this, keep the old style look around.
Classic you.
So moving on, we've got the preview here. That looks the same, but one of the big changes we made is you don't have to set it up in advance. Now you can just, on the top there, just send it to wherever you're going to send it. Just do it. Save it, close it, send it along. The rest is about the same.
Very ribbony.
Yeah. All right, moving on. This is version 9. One of the big things we started doing was trying to really help people understand how to use it.
Right.
We made this big tour, So the first thing that comes up says, are you new to Snagit or have you used it before? And we gave you 2 different videos to help you out with that. We've done a lot with our tutorials. I think our user assistance group has done amazing things to try to help people understand how to use the product. If anybody should know how to make videos and help tutorials, we should, right? And so we've done that, and I think we've done a really good job of it. Or I do anyways, like I said. So we try to work that into our products. We use our products to make our products better. And that's what I'm pointing out here in Snagit 9. So beyond that, everything looks the same. New coat of paint, though.
Shinier.
She's a little shinier, but that part looks the same. The real big change was in the editor. We rehauled this.
I remember this one.
We made a real big shift in the editor in 9 because we saw that we had a lot of the same problems that Microsoft had. And if you look back at that last preview, it was like, okay, stuff along the top, stuff along the left, stuff along the right. It was surrounded, like there wasn't any room left for the capture. Like it was like, here's the thing I captured. And we're like, tools, 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 options everywhere. And we're like, there's so many things that you can do, but you're never going to find everything because they're everywhere. Right. We need to find a way to make it so that people can get to the things they actually want to do and that they do regularly.
Right.
And that they don't have to figure out how to piece together a good-looking thing. Like you can draw a nice-looking arrow call, but you got to figure out what all the best settings are to do that. So we're like, all right, this is something that Microsoft is trying to solve. That's where this ribbon idea came from at the top there. And so we're like, let's shuffle up in a way some of these options up into here. And then put together nice packages of styles that do look good together, and that's where these came from. They have some nice-looking call-outs that already look good together. You don't have to figure out all just the right combinations of settings are. And then we can put some of the less used commands under some menus, and the more popular used ones up front, like copy. And so that's what we did. And then we did a lot too much at once. It was a really long release because we tried to do a lot at once, and then we do that.
It was a big one.
And we made this tray at the bottom so you could grab together a lot of your, all your captures at once. So capture, it automatically saves them. You can drag and put them together. It was a huge release. I loved this. It was one I worked on for a long time. This was the last release that I was on Snagit Windows for too. So that was when I said goodbye to my baby and moved on to working on Snagit for the Mac. All right, so after that, this is version 10. This is when we made another really big step forward, I think. So we had Jing out there for a while.
Yep.
And Jing tried a new experiment with people where they said, okay, we've been making them make a rough choice, which is, do you want to do region, or do you want to do window, or do you want to do a scrolling capture? Which one do you want to do?
I don't know. Too soon.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You saw all that stuff we've been doing there to try to help you figure out which picture do you want, which one do you want to do. And we came up with this great idea where we combine them all together, and you can either drag your region right out, or just tap on a window, or we put these cool, and this was the one that we added in for Snagit because Jing only had the region and the window, and then Snagit added in the additional advancement of, well, you know what, if you go over a window that can scroll, we just bring up these cool little things, and I'm going to show that in the next picture.
Yep.
You just bring up these cool little arrows that go, oh, just tap on one of those, and it'll scroll it for you. So we brought together the 3 most popular ones that people do, all into one thing. You basically never have to make your choice again.
No.
I mean, you have the other capture types like menu and freehand, but they're not used as often, so the ones you really hit all the time are all, boom, brought together into one. So we've removed the necessity of that upfront choice. And in the previous version, we got rid of the back-end choice, so really, you don't have to make any choices anymore.
Good.
You can just go capture.
I can't make choices at this point
You shouldn't have
of the day.
That's a big tenet of designing, really, is if you can put off any choices until later, do. Like the less crap you have to decide ever, or up front, the better. And that's a big thing we've learned over the years, or that the design community knows. And so we try to put that into effect. We learn.
Yep. We're always learning.
So we did that, and then, so that was the big thing in version 10. There's a whole bunch of features, again, that went in throughout the series of version 10. But when I'm thinking about what do we really drive forward that I think is important, I think that's it. So then when version 11 came out, we're like, okay, well, if you don't need to make any of these decisions up front anymore, we've got all these profiles up there, for what?
Right. Why?
This huge window and all these things up here as if you needed to choose, but honestly, you don't. You don't have to pick anything from there anymore. Get rid of that. And this was something that the Mac version had first come out and tried and had a great success with, was, you know what, let's just have this thing up here, just like Jing did.
Right.
And people loved. It wasn't universal. I think when we came out with this on Snagit, there were some people that were like, I'm not so sure. And so we had the option for people to still use their profiles and to be able to choose. And we retain that. So in version 11, we said, all right, look, if this is all you need is to say go, then let's just give you this option to say go. You can still use hotkey and other choices too. But so this is version 11, is just up here. It's like, yeah, all right, just go over here. I grab it and I say, okay, boom, hit the button and go. It's just always hanging out here, always at the ready.
Always ready.
So that's your window for version 11. You go over there, you hover over it, it slides out, you've got options for image, and then we added in a lot better video. There was always some video in Snagit for a long time, but the format that it used eventually became old-fashioned, I'm going to call it.
Yep, that's a good word
It didn't keep
for
up the time. So when we redid that in version 11, that's when it was really useful. When you've got the MP4 format and you've got it right up here at your ready, that's when version 11 was really ready to rock. Okay, so I showed you all that stuff.
Let's snag it today.
I wanted to show you. Like, here's the progression of the icons, because I thought those were adorable too. Seeing sort of the mouse man 7, 8, 9.
Kind of missed the mouse man.
Those are all there. So what's going on today? So I think earlier in one of our other many videos, someone mentioned the things that we were working on in version 12. But I'm going to talk just in terms of some of the design that's going on.
Okay.
I'm going to show we're a lot more in sync between our Mac version and our Windows version these days.
Okay.
So I'm going to show a little bit of what's going on in the Mac version, and it's same stuff on Windows because we're that in sync. So this is a picture of what it looks like on the Mac. Now, all these tools that you see here, that's not what you're going to see right away in the Windows version. But what is going to be similar is this capture thing on the right there.
Okay.
It's a flatter look. This is going to be more in sync with how our website looks, how a lot of our products look in terms of their flatness. Eventually, I think that you will see this type of look for how the properties look in our Windows version. That's not a guarantee. Everything's always in flux. And blah, 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 blah. So don't freak out and don't run to the bank and say, this is definitely what it's going to look like in Windows tomorrow or the next day or whenever. But it's sort of a direction we're heading to try to reduce how many choices you have everywhere and so on.
Just make it easy.
But this is soon what the Mac version will look like in terms of the tools, and making it simple for the workflow. So here I'll just scooch over here. Why don't I just start Snagit? Why not?
Let's see what you got.
Yeah, and still in terms of trying to make Snagit's like not making the choices come up right all the time, right?
Okay.
So they changed this to reduce the, here I'm still in my trial, right? All right. So reducing the choices. So when I go over here and I hit capture, Jing always had a different workflow as well. So I'm just going to drag out a region here like this.
Okay.
Jing let you choose afterwards whether you wanted to do an image or video. So notice I didn't have to go over there and pick image, video, which one do I want to do, and then hit capture. So if it was want an image capture, cool. Do I have the right region? If you don't have it quite right, you can tweak it a little bit, get it down to the right spot, and then say, yep, image, cool. That's image,
Done.
comes up, there you go. If instead you wanted to capture a video, same thing, drag out your region. Or again, if you didn't want a region, you could have done a scrolling capture, you could have done a window. Those are still all in one. And then you can say video. Goes into video, you can hit record, it's got your mic there, you can do system audio. Again, I can tweak my area, I can move this around, and I can just start recording right there.
Okay.
So that's a little change to the workflow that allows us to delay that decision until later. None of this UI is absolutely final, but it's getting there. And so that same flow is what we'd want to do in the Windows version as well.
Great.
I can't say exactly when that's going to ship because I don't know.
Right.
But it's not super far off. I think I'm probably good just filling up all my time with
That's
Snagit,
good.
aren't I? It's almost
Yeah.
midnight. Wow, good for
Yeah,
us.
it's about time. So, well, I appreciate you showing us where we've been and a little bit about where we're going. So,
Okay.
yeah, thanks for joining us.
Any questions?
I appreciate it. We'll wrap this up and then we'll take some questions from the
All
chat
right.
room. So, thanks for joining us tonight on the live stream.
It's been fun.